secrets unfold. True crime stories, let the intrigue be told. Grab a seat, get cozy, let's dive into the plot. With Mac J by my side, there's so much to be sought. Mods from the stars, they light up the night. Chillin' with Van, everything feels just right. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Spirit Time vibes with Lisa and Mark. Tia and Mel igniting the spark. According to Lean, curiosity flows. A curious rose in a garden of woes. Sweet misery whispers, tales that enthrall. While Matt, Meg, and Jody, we gather them all. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. So come along, join the fun tonight. In Aussie true crime, everything feels so right.
Hey, beautiful people.
Hello, everyone.
We've got a few in the bushes that aren't saying hi. Oh, beautiful Earth, how are you, my darling? Be listening while I lay down. That's okay. So, we've been in closing for the last 2 days. While I've been sick with this flu, I've been still listening to the closing arguments. I just said to Mac J, the prosecution went from the start of yesterday morning all the way through to about 1 o'clock today. It is the longest closing I have ever heard, but well worth it. She really put Erin in her place, so I can't wait till we get to that presentation. The defence started their closing after her and are continuing tomorrow. So we're still in closing, so we've still got time. I apologise for last night. As you know, I am trying to get over this cold that my grandsons gave me. I'm not doing very well. I have one good day and then I go down. I think Mac J's doing daily checks. What are we today? But I'm getting there, and I want to get this done because we are behind. So we got week 6, part 2. Tomorrow night I'm going to do week 7 altogether because we've got one long presentation of the first 2 days, and then the second one was only about 20 slides. So we're going to do all of week 7 tomorrow night, and then depending on how the closing goes, we'll decide. We'll have obviously the closing arguments. By what the judge was saying today, though, I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be another break time, but he thinks that they won't go into deliberations till next week. So I'm assuming when closing ends, they'll probably have a break until next week and then send them into deliberation. But I don't know Do you know what I mean? I'm just going off what they're kind of saying. So
Yeah.
we'll wait to see. So this is week 6, part 2. So we've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but Fridays are half days. So we only have small ones on Fridays. That's why I throw them in.
Okay.
So we're starting at Wednesday, the 4th of June, 2025. It's another brisk morning, and it's about 6 degrees Celsius in Morwell. So I like to put the temperature in just to show how cold it is. But I think it's that cold all over Australia at the moment. I know we're feeling it.
Yeah. We had 6 the other night.
I've had the fireplace going for the last 5 nights.
Oh, wow.
That's having Victorians up in Queensland, see?
Yeah.
So before 9 a.m, they were roughly a dozen members of the public queuing to get into the courtroom. The thing that amuses me is at the start, hardly anyone was there. Now Erin's on the stand. They're lining up. So that's the front of the courthouse. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but you got to think how small this courtroom is too.
Yeah, true.
So the questioning of Erin Patterson resumes. Erin Patterson has returned to the witness stand to take questions from her defence lawyer Colin Mandy SC. She is being shown photographs found on the SD card in her possession, and Erin is wearing a light grey coloured top and has her glasses on. Photos taken on a rail trail near Leningatha. Mr. Mandy zooms in on a row of several stills taken from a video taken on a device. Erin says the videos were filmed by her. In the bottom right, Erin identifies her 2 children on a path in a parkland on the rail trail in a Leningatha area. Erin says another set of stills from the video shows her daughter on a scooter on the path in a red top. Erin describes another photo as mushrooms on some grass and leaf litter. She tells the court that she took the images were being shown in early 2020. A timestamp on one of the images shown to the court suggests it was April. Erin says she couldn't be specific about the date, but it was during her first COVID lockdown. And people have got to understand, in Victoria, we had like 7 lockdowns. So everything did start getting referred to the first, the second, the third.
Yeah.
More discussions of the mushroom images. Erin says she recalls using a Samsung Galaxy A70 to film the videos. One of the images shows several mushrooms sitting on an open newspaper. Erin says the mushrooms are sitting on the kitchen bench in the home she was living in 2020. In the background of one of the photos, Erin identifies her daughter, who she says appears to be in the same red top she was wearing in the videos of her in the scooter in the parkland. Another photo is closely focused on mushrooms sitting on the newspaper pages. I can't see enough of the non-newspaper to know where that was taken, she says. Hi, beautiful chick Tracy. How are you, my darling?
Hi, Tracy.
Erin says another photo was taken in the garden to try and identify what was growing at her home at the time. Another photo shows Erin describes as some mushrooms sitting on a paper towel. Erin says another photo shows a flooded paddock at the property in roughly April or May 2020. She describes how a blocked pipe caused the paddock to fill water. The discussion continues at quite a fast pace as Mr. Mandy takes his client through the collection of photos, only pausing briefly to ask a question or two before continuing. I'm not sure where that photo would have been taken, Erin says, of one of the mushroom pieces sitting on the ground outside. We go through several photos of which Erin says show mushrooms sitting in the kitchen sink.
Oh, wow. I wonder if they tested those.
Well, these are just photos, but it's showing that even back from 2020 she was collecting mushrooms.
Oh, wow.
But she didn't forage them.
Oh, of course not.
Because you got to think too, when people go through our phones, like I would hate to have some like an officer go through mine because obviously I have a lot of true crime things, but that's what I'm into. And if she's got all these photos of mushrooms in her phone dating back to 2020, what was a good couple of years before the lunch. Do you know what I mean? It shows that it was obviously a hobby or an interest of some kind because you wouldn't just have those photos. Like, I don't have photos of mushrooms on my phone
Yeah.
because it's not a hobby, it's not an interest, where it obviously was to her, and that's what they're trying to. I don't know, that's what I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
So, Erin says she was aware of the poisonous mushrooms in the area. Erin says she remembers on the day that she filmed her children on scooters on the rail trails that they were pretty excited about the outing. Mr. Mandy says if at some stage Erin became aware of poisonous mushrooms growing in the Gippsland, and she says she did. I found out that there were some mushrooms growing on my property that were probably toxin to dogs, she says. They were called icabulbs. Mr. Mandy asks if she became aware of the death cap mushrooms. I became aware of death cap mushrooms quite early through this period, and I looked it up to see if they grew in the South Gippsland. I remember finding out that they didn't, essentially, she says. See, she also said she'd never done it with her kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet these photos have it with the kids there.
Well,
Night, beautiful earth. Sweet dreams, my darling. So Mr. Mandy takes Erin to evidence of a web search of death cap mushrooms, which the court previously heard was made from a computer in her home. Eddie, how are you, my darling? Welcome in. I don't specifically remember doing it that day, but it's possible it was me, and possible that's part of the process. I went to see if they grew in the South Gippsland, she said. Mr. Mandy notes there's been evidence in the case about records on her phone and its travel being consistent with travelling to Loch and the Outrim. Erin denies ever foraging for mushrooms in the Loch and the Outrim. She then denies ever seeing the posts made by Christine Mackenzie or Dr. Tom May on the iNationalist, which reported the death caps growing in the area.
I don't know, man. It's just you can tell she's lying. Like
Mm-hmm.
It's when she speaks. It's too
When she speaks.
too specific. Like she's been rehearsing it. You know.
That's why, honestly, when you hear the closing, you are going to smile so much.
Oh, I look forward
The
to it.
prosecutor gives it to her in the closing. That's all I can say. It's like I just wish I could just skip week 7 in this one and just go straight to closing because it was that good.
Wow.
Erin is being asked about the lunch held on in June 2023, and Don and Gail Patterson and the kids. Erin says that she invited them and Simon to the lunch about a week beforehand. I had become a little worried about that, perhaps. There might have been some distance growing between me and the Patterson family, she says. I wasn't sure if there was a gathering or two that I hadn't been invited to. She says previously Simon would always tell her about the Patterson family events, but she realised about May or June that she probably needed to be more proactive to maintain her relationships with the Patterson family. She says it was a great lunch and the kids really enjoyed it. But the kids weren't there.
Yeah, funny. Funny that.
Erin is then taken to the messages from Gail Patterson shortly afterwards, where Gail was asking about her medical appointments were going. Gail's concern was about a lump in her arm, which Erin says that she thought she had at one point. In Erin's reply, she said she had a needle biopsy and would be returning for an MRI to investigate the matter. But she says she had not been to an appointment but had a needle biopsy or been booked in for the MRI. She admits that they were lies. Some weeks prior, I had been having an issue with my elbow with pain, and I thought that there was a lump there. I told Don and Gail about that, she says. They had shown quite a lot of care about that, which felt really nice. The issues started to resolve, and I felt embarrassed that I had made such a big deal about it, and I didn't want their care of me to stop, so I just kept it going. I shouldn't have done it. Erin is sniffling, and her voice is faltering more as she discusses her reasons for lying to her mother-in-law.
Oh my God. Crocodile tears.
Erin is then asked about her motivations of organising the lunch at which 3 guests were fatally poisoned with the death cap mushrooms. Primarily, the kids and I had such a good time seeing Nana and Papa that I wanted to do it again, she says. She says during the earlier lunch, Gail had commented on how nice the garden looked and that Heather would probably like to see it. And I had thought, well, I would invite them too because her and Ian had been really good to me over the years. I wanted to have some more connection with them all, so I invited them all. She says she confirms that she made the invitation in person at church to Gail and Heather. Would you like to come to a lunch at my house? Erin says. She asked them and they said that they would love to.
Is it just me, or does this sound like she's almost like written it down word for word and is just repeating it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, she had 7 weeks to
do it, yeah.
Because you got to think she sat there through everything.
And accused her kids of lying? Or have we not got to that part yet?
Just 7 weeks to think of what excuses for what was brought up in the court.
True.
So Erin chooses East Wellington for the lunch. Erin says that she went through quite a long process of what to cook, and while a shepherd's pie had been a hit in the past, she didn't want special enough for this lunch. I remember on a really important occasion, my mum would make beef Wellington when I was a kid, and I thought I'd give it a go, she says. Erin says she never made the dish before and confirms the recipe was from the Recipe Tin Eats cookbook.
They had pictures of that cookbook, didn't they?
Yeah, I think I've got one further up.
Okay.
I think it's in this one. Erin Patterson's shopping history shown to the court. Erin says that she went shopping for the vast majority of ingredients from Woolworths. She pops her glasses on as she's shown a table to the court has previously been shown, detailing her rewards history with the supermarket giant. A few highlighted items brought on July 23rd, 2023 included a kilo of mushrooms, filio pastry, and puff pastry. Erin says that she's not sure if she'd made the decision to make beef Wellingtons for the lunch by then, but it's possible. She says she brought the mushrooms very regularly, at least weekly, sometimes twice weekly, she says. Pastry was another regular purchase, she says, because the kids love sausage rolls.
I wonder if she made so much pastry or bought so much pastry, she knew how to hide things better in the pastry. You know what I mean? So,
like mushroom dust.
Yeah, like mushroom dust.
She says that she had no idea why she brought large additional quantities of the filo pastry in the coming days. I'd only brought some a day before, but it looks like I must have forgotten I did that, she says. But I made things with pastry all the time, so it wouldn't have mattered. Hi, beautiful Linny. Welcome in, my darling. Mr. Mandy brings the question to the beef Wellington recipe from the Recipe Tin Eats book. He asks whether she followed the recipe exactly. Roughly, I did have to make some deviations, she says. The primary one was I couldn't find, the big log that the recipe called for, so I had to use individual steaks. So I had to adapt to that, she says. Or it made it easier.
Exactly.
So this is the recipe book that she used. So you can see the black layer, that's the mushroom paste that's around it. So you can see you've got the meat and then the mushroom paste that is around the meat and then the pastry over the top.
Let's see. I wonder if there was more mushroom paste on hers than there was supposed to be, you know?
Erin says she sought help from her Facebook friends about doing what I was going to do in preparing the beef Wellington and the cut of meat. I took a photo with the eye fillet steak twin pack and sent it to the group and asked them if this was the same thing, and one or two of them said yes, she said. Erin says the different meat meant the qualities of mushrooms and pastry needed to be different. Because if you make a log and cut it into slices to serve, you'll end up with something that looks like a steak. But it's got the mushroom and the pastry around the circumference, she says. Before, if you make the individual steaks like pastries, you've got the mushroom and the pastry on the top side and the bottom rather than the circumference. You'll use a lot more mushroom and pastry. I used a lot more. Because she is showing what a liar she is, how are people going to believe anything else she says? Exactly. It is how I am in life. If someone lies to me once, that's it. I just turn away, because if they're going to lie, even if it's something small, do you know what I mean? If someone's going to lie about something small, how can you trust them on anything after that?
Yeah.
Honesty is the most important thing.
It is. It really is.
So Erin describes making the beef Wellington. The court is then shown the colourful cover of the Nutty McGann's recipe tin eats dinner cookbook. Then the beef Wellington recipe. Erin says the following changes were made in her version. There was no mustard, there was no pescado because Don didn't eat pork. There was a call for a crepe layer as well, but Erin says that looked a little bit more complicated, so I brought a filio to use instead of the crepe. Erin says that she began preparing the Saturday lunch on the Friday by salting the meat steaks and trying to get the juices out of them.
I wonder, like, if she got the juices out, would that mean she absorbed more of the mushroom? I don't know.
The shopping and reading the recipe, I think Googling tips on how to not stuff it up, that was probably the bulk of it, she says. On the Saturday morning, Erin says that she got to work early on the mushroom deluxes, which involved frying up garlic and chopping shallots. She emptied some mushrooms from Woolworths into her Thermomix and chopped them up a bit, she says. She can't remember the exact quantity of mushrooms, but it was a lot. She said she cooked it for a very long time to try and remove the water so the pastry wasn't so soggy. But you got to think, she used 2 different lots of mushrooms, so she must have used a lot.
Oh, yeah.
She says the process took roughly 45 minutes, and it was then that she made an addition to the Woolworths mushroom deluxes. As I was cooking it down, I tasted it a few times, and it seemed a bit bland to me, she says. So I decided to put the dried mushrooms that I brought from the grocer that I still had in the pantry. So I put them in like a little strainer with a handle and just roughly poured water over them to get the crisp out of them. I chopped them up and I sprinkled them over the deluxes and pushed them in with an egg flip. Erin does not say if she tested the dish again after adding the dried mushrooms. She says at this time she believed the dried mushrooms were the ones that she brought from Melbourne. Now I think that there was possibly that they were foraged ones in there as well, she says, closing her eyes and blinking as her voice cracks.
Yeah, same.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Excuse me 2 seconds.
no worries.
I could feel that cough coming on. Exactly, Chick Tracy. Well, she just said then. So now she's saying that she's put Woolworths ones in there. She's put Asian grocery ones in there. And now, some foraged ones could have got in there as well. Even though she didn't forage for mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, she totally didn't.
When asked about the extravagations in the message, Erin says that they were made because she really wanted him to attend the lunch. I shouldn't have done any of that, but that's what I was thinking at the time, she says. Erin says she wanted Simon to feel a little bit bad about cancelling at the last minute after he would have known that I would have done a lot of preparation. Erin admits that she'd not really done that many hours of preparation she had told Simon had gone on for the lunch. No, it wasn't true, she says. See, the thing is, she's getting away with them as well, not knowing about the other 4 times that she tried to do this to Simon.
Yeah, Exactly.
because that all got dropped just before this case. They hear nothing about that now.
Ah, I wonder why.
And I'm hoping at the end of it we'll find out why. Because we didn't. They just all got dropped the day of this court case started.
Oh wow. Yeah, I hope we find out too. That would be really interesting to know
So we're back on the meal preparations as Erin outlines how she fried the steaks on both sides and let them rest. Then she assembled the beef Wellingtons. I used the egg flip again too. I guess lift a little more of the Julexes out of the oven tray and put on each steak, and then wrapped each one in the filio and then wrapped each one in the puff pastry, she says. She said she made 6 of the individual beef Wellingtons at the appropriate time. I put them in the oven. I wanted them to be out and resting by 12:30 when the guests arrived, she said. Erin says the guests were punctual in arriving and she was getting really nice feedback about the house and garden. Then we came back in and I got ready to serve, and that's when Heather and Gail had a look inside the pantry, she says. Miss Patterson says her children weren't present and were at the movies. She says in the earlier conversation she had explained to her daughter that the lunch was happening and asked her if she wanted to join the lunch or see the movie with her brother. She says the movie appealed more to her daughter, so she later discussed it with her son. Erin says that the conversation was had while her son was playing computer games with a friend, and she explained the movie plan to him. And this is all changing from what she said at the start as well.
It is. It really is changing.
Because she said she didn't want the children there and that's why they went to the movies.
Yep, and now it's suddenly different.
Hey Matt, welcome in. So Erin says after arriving, Don and Ian were standing by the bookshelf, and while she was mashing potatoes, Gail and Heather went to look at her pantry. Miss Patterson says she had a mixed emotions about this as she was proud of the pantry, but it was a little bit messy. She says Gail and Heather said the pantry looks great and they would love to have a similarly big pantry. Erin says she had the beef Wellingtons resting to the side and had mashed potato in a pot before serving up on the plates, then adding the beans at the end. Why go to the trouble of making the beef Wellington? I'll just cook a fried rice and say, here you go. Well, she could have hid the mushrooms in that.
She could have, yeah.
It wouldn't have been special enough. She wanted it special.
Ugh.
She said she used the just dinner plates I had to serve. I think there's a couple of black and a couple of white, one that's red on top and black underneath. And then I've got one that my daughter made at kindergarten, she says. She says she didn't own any other dinner plates and didn't own any grey plates. This conflicts with testimony from lunch guest Ian Wilkinson, who claimed that the lunch was served on 4 grey plates and 1 tanned orange plate.
Those plates, man.
As Erin describes the plating up process, she gestures with her hands as if conveying items from one place to another. She says as she was doing this, Gail asked if she was coming to a birthday event the next week, and Erin told her that she wasn't aware of it, but would love to come. The Pattersons had a gathering of everybody roughly every quarter of all the birthdays that had happened around there, she says. Erin recalls that she was told about the in-laws having had a baby, which was really good news to hear. Later that day, Erin says that she messaged her in-laws to congratulate them on the baby and said that she looked forward to meeting the baby the next week at the Patterson family event. Erin says that she plated up 5 dishes. The 6th beef Wellington she had prepared was put straight in the fridge on the oven tray it was cooked on. See, I reckon that one was poisoned too.
Oh, me too. Like, I just wonder, like, if he had turned up, I wonder if he would have gotten more mushroom poison than the others. Or if she would have, like, given him less so that he would suffer more or something. I don't know.
So back to plating the lunch. And Erin says that she was preparing a ready-made gravy satchel to avoid any gravy problems. I said, grab a plate, guys. I'm just going to finish off the gravy, she says. She says she put the gravy in a serving pitcher, grabbed the final plate off the bench, and then went and sat at the table. She says she didn't see the other plates get to the table, but assumed everyone grabbed a plate, but accepts that Gail and Heather may have taken them over. Erin says she doesn't remember which plate she had.
Oh, come on. She totally knew.
A break in the proceedings, Justin Beagle jumps in and calls for a break. So questioning of Erin Patterson resumes after the break. As the hearing resumes, Mr. Mandy asks Erin for further details about her communication with the kids around the lunch. She recalls dropping the children off to see the movie before heading home to host the lunch. Mr. Mandy then takes Erin to a photo of her living space, which shows a dining table between a living area and an island bench. Erin has her glasses on again to look at the exhibition on a screen before her. Mr. Mandy asks if the guests had wanted to help plate up the lunch. At least one or both of them, Gail and Heather, said. Do you need help? Erin said. It was like at the threshold of being able to serve. But she didn't need help, she says. She replied with words to the effect of, it's fine. Erin says the last thing she did before going to the table was putting the gravy from the saucepan into the gravy boat. She says the gravy would have probably taken only a couple of minutes to heat up on the stove. To do that, she would have had to work at the stove that sits parallel to the bench the court hears. The court is then shown a photo of the dining table with letters on the chairs where everyone was sitting. Erin says it looks about right, although she recalled Don and Gail were swapped. She says that there's no assigned seating or plates for the lunch. Mr. Mandy begins questioning about the portions that each lunch guest ate. Ian and Heather ate all of theirs, Don ate all of his, and Gail ate quite a lot of hers. Not all of it, though, Erin says. I ate a quarter and a third. Somewhere I ate a quarter and a third. Somewhere around... Isn't that like a... Yeah, okay. Somewhere around there of mine. Mr. Mandy asks about the evidence that the court heard that Erin had in fact eaten half her meal. It was about that I was measuring. I couldn't be precise. It was some of it, she says. Mr. Mandy asks why she ate less than the rest of the guests. I was talking a lot. I was eating slowly. That's about all I can say, Erin says. Erin says the conversation during the lunch would have covered a bit of family news, politics, and current affairs. At one point, I do remember Don talking about his brother that was battling throat cancer. I think it was, she says. Erin says the cancer topic lingered in the conversation. At the end of the meal, she mentioned that she had an issue a year or two earlier where she thought she had cancer. Then I'm not proud of this, but I led them to believe that I may be needing some treatment in regards to that in the next few weeks or months. Sorry, my nana taught me if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I'm just going to take a big breath. I do remember I referred to upcoming treatment because primary in my mind was thinking I might need help getting the kids to and from the bus and other activities. Might need to explain why I'm going up to hospital for a day or two. So that was really the focus of what I was talking about. Erin agrees that she misled her lunch guests, who all showed a lot of compassion for the health issue that she had told them about. Then he saw Simon's car driving into the driveway coming back with the kids. And so Ian said, why don't we pray for Erin? And so that's what we did, she says. Mr. Mandy asks why she lied. I was really embarrassed. I was ashamed of the fact that I didn't have control over my body or what I ate. I was ashamed of that. I didn't want to tell anybody, but I shouldn't have lied to them, she says, sniffling. So crying and lying is how we're going to get through this week.
Oh, okay.
Erin says that her children arrived with her son fetched his flying book and was sharing it with his grandfather Don. And Ian had a meeting at church, so the lunch gathering dissolved. She says her son and his friend then went into a room to play computer games, but probably helped clean up. Miss Patterson says that there were some scraps on guest plates and the rest of the beef Wellington, along with some potato that she hadn't eaten. There was also leftovers from the potatoes, the beans, and the gravy. A lot of Heather's fruit platter. She encouraged them to keep it for us to eat. So that was the leftovers, and quite a lot of the cake that Gail had brought was left over as well, she says. The 6 beef Wellington, which Erin says had not been eaten, also remained. Yeah, I know. Gee, Tracy, poor you, Erin.
Erin.
I know you want to pass her a tissue, don't you?
Yeah, you really do want to lean through and pass her a tissue.
So Erin says while her son played the PC games with his friends, she had several pieces of cake. You know, she was so sick, but several pieces of cake. Progressively,
Yeah, I know, right?
progressively eating all of the cake that Gail Patterson had left behind, which she says was 2/3 of the original cake. After eating the cake, Erin says, I felt sick. I felt overfull, so I went to the toilets and brought it back up again. Just big breath.
Yeah. Big breath.
Yesterday, the court heard that Erin said that she had struggled with binge eating and bulimia throughout her life. Erin says she later had some loose stools, which started about 5:30 p.m. A reminder: you can access Butterfly information if this raises any issues. During the trial, we've heard about a trip Erin Patterson took to Subway with her son following the lunch. Erin says that when she went to Subway, she parked and waited in the car while her son fetched the food from inside. Mr. Mandy then takes Erin to footage of the car at the Subway the night previously led by the prosecution. But she says, while it's the same colour, it's not the same car. Maybe it looks a little bit different to my car. I can't say 100% it's not. I can say 100% it's not, she says. When a figure in the green and gold top is seen walking across the car park, Mr. Mandy says if that's Erin's son, and she says it is not.
I bet you it
Later,
was.
hey?
It could have been, and she's just lying. I don't know.
Oh, it gets wrapped up in closing.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
That's the thing. Like, if I hadn't heard closing arguments, I wouldn't understand all this. But now I have. I understand how all of this plays its part, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why I said I just want to skip all of this and go straight to closing because it's all swept in so nicely. But no, we're going to be good. We're going to still go through the evidence. And then we'll go to closing because it's so good. So later that night, Erin returns feeling really nauseous with diarrhea beginning about 11 p.m. or midnight. I wouldn't get this quite strong abdominal cramping and then an urge needing to go, she says. Miss Patterson says it felt pretty frequent to me, every 20 minutes sometimes, maybe further apart at other times. Enough that it was hard to go back to sleep, she says. Erin says she took a drug to treat the diarrhea symptoms at some point and was able to get some rest. She says that she got out of bed about 10 a.m. and went downstairs where her son was in the TV room on the couch. I think I made some kind of herbal tea like lemon and ginger tea, something like that, she says. She says she was still nervous and had diarrhea, but it wasn't as bad as it had been overnight. Erin says that her son told her he had a sore tummy and asked if they could give Church a miss, and she wondered if he had a bug like her. Miss Patterson says that she recalls Simon calling at some point in the morning and asking if they were at church, and she explained to him that they were giving it a miss. He told me that Don and Gail had diarrhea too, she says. We spoke twice that day, and he did tell me at one point that they were getting fluids at the Coonabarra Hospital. Thank you, Matt.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
Erin says over the day the diarrhea was becoming less frequent, and she probably closer to hourly in the afternoon. She says she wasn't timing it and says it was just a guess. Miss Patterson said that she decided to take her son to a flying lesson which was pushed back from its original schedule. She says before setting off to the lesson in Tybee,
Yeah.
She had water and maybe another ginger tea, as well as more drugs to prevent the diarrhea. My son had said to me, I'm not feeling well, it's fine. We don't have to go. And I told him, let's see how we go, she says. He's a compassionate boy and he didn't want me to go if I wasn't feeling well. Erin says at the time to leave.
Is this the day
Hey?
Is this the day she was wearing white pants?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. And
Erin says at the time to leave Ned, she thought that it was good chance things would go okay, and her diarrhea and the trip to Tybee. Yeah, it was the day after she was wearing the white pants that she had the
Okay.
day. Erin says both of her children were in the car on the way to the flying lesson. She says about 30 minutes in, she felt she needed to use the toilet, so they pulled over onto a stretch where there was some bushland. I went off to the bush and went to the toilet. I had diarrhea, she says. I cleaned myself up a bit with tissues and put them in a dog poo bag, and we hit the road again. During a stop at the BP, Miss Patterson says that she put the dog poo bag containing tissues that she'd used when toiletering in the bin. She says that she brought food for the children, but tells the court she brought nothing for herself. I really hope she went and washed her hands. That's all that I... Please tell me you went and washed your hands. On the way back after the flying lesson was cancelled, they stopped at the Cooey Rump donut van. Erin says that her children took her ATM card and brought some things, including a coffee for her. She says she didn't ask for the coffee specifically, and it would have been a habit for her son to get something for her. Miss Patterson says as soon as they arrived home, she ran pretty quickly for the toilet. The diarrhea had continued, but my nausea wasn't such a huge issue anymore. When it came time for dinner, Miss Patterson says that she took the leftover beef Wellington out of the fridge and removed the mushrooms and pastry before cutting up the meat and microwaving it for the children. Erin says that she tentatively attempted some other foods, but it didn't go down well, so she stopped. For the rest of the evening, she says she remained a little bit off in the tummy before going to bed at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Overnight, she says, I felt the diarrhea coming back a little bit more strongly than it had been, and then happened for a few hours. My best guess is around 1 or 2 p.m. or somewhere around there-ish, she says. Mind you, at this time, the rest of the dinner guests were violently ill in hospital.
Yeah, I know, right?
Having organs shutting down But let's feel sorry for Erin. She's got a sore tummy and...
Yeah. Oh, someone should have given her toilet paper because she's full of SH.
So about 6 a.m. on the Monday after the lunch, Erin Patterson says that she got up and started to get her children ready for school. She says the bus to school picked them up about 7:20 before she called her estranged husband Simon. She says at this point she believed she might need some fluids in hospital to assist with the diarrhea she was experiencing. Every time I drank water, it went straight through me. Couldn't seem to retain it, so I thought I should go in for a little bit, she says. She says she called Simon because she didn't want to go by herself to the hospital. She says Simon said that he was tired and still in bed and that she should drive herself, which she then did. She says when she got to Leningatha Hospital, she used the toilet before waiting in the emergency department. Erin says she then recalls a doctor apologising for the wait before telling her there were 2 critically ill people in there. She says she told him that that's fine, I've just got gastro, it's not urgent. After she gave him her name, she says that he said, we've been expecting you, and asked her to come through. I followed him in and I remembered feeling a little bit unsettled because when I said my name, his reaction communicated that he knew who I was. which threw me quite a bit, she says.
Interesting.
She says the doctor asked if she was the cook and where the ingredients of the beef Wellington lunch had come from. When he told her about his concerns of the death cap mushrooms in the meal, Erin says that she was shocked but confused as well. I was just expecting to come in for a sailing for gastro, she says. She says that she didn't see how death cap mushrooms could be in the meal and was puzzled because she only really knew about her gastro. Erin says that she was told she needed a specific medicine to be sent to Melbourne in an ambulance. I felt really anxious and stressed and confused. I felt really overwhelmed, she said. No, I'm not tonight. We're hoping to finish this one tonight, so this will be the end of week 6. I can either record week 7 and do closing tomorrow, or I can do week 7 tomorrow and closing Wednesday. But just let me know, because I'm happy to record week 7 and just go straight to closing, because it is that good. But I am doing closing. I have been working.
Closing sounds awesome.
As I said, I'm happy to just record week 7 tomorrow and upload it so people could just watch week 7 and we can just go straight into closing tomorrow night. It's up to you. Just let me know by the end of the show what you want me to do.
Yep.
Okay, she says the doctor asked her if she was the cook, and I read that one, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust me, Chick Tracy, the closing is worth it. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to see her face.
Oh, me too. I wonder if there's any pictures of it, like, hand-drawn things.
Hasn't been yet. Trust me, I'm watching. There hasn't been yet. They have, as I said, they have started releasing some of the pictures of the specialists and that. So I have put them through the closing one so that we can put faces to all the names. So while she's talking about certain characters or people that came out into it, I've got pictures of them there, so we actually get to see them now and see what they look like. I know not, it doesn't matter to everyone, but I'm a person that I like to put a face to the name, so it was just, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot more pictures in the closing as well. What was kind of good. I had a lot of fun doing that. Erin Patterson says that she had a bag with her at Leongatha Hospital with a water bottle and some kind of warm jumper or jacket. She says that she tried to explain to the nurse why she couldn't go to Melbourne straight away and that she was just planning to go in for a few hours and that she had kids at school. I couldn't move my brain out of that, being stuck in what I thought was the day was going to look like, she says. It was kind of like trying to turn a really, really big ship. Among the things on her mind was organising her daughter's ballet event that night and securing the dog and the lambs. Erin says that the discussion with the hospital staff then moved into how far away she lived and how quickly she could get back to the hospital after attending to those matters. At this point, the judge suggested a break and the court adjourns for lunch. So we're back picking up at the Monday after the Saturday lunch, where Erin Patterson left Leongatha Hospital to attend to some home tasks.
I wonder what those were.
She'd been told by the doctors that she needed to go to Melbourne for tests, but wanted to look after her pets first.
Oh, how convenient.
Erin informs police where the leftovers can be found. Upon returning to the hospital, Erin says that she had a brief chat with the doctor before she was taken into the urgent care area and set up in a bed with a curtain. Erin says she was speaking with the doctor where the children came up and he asked her if they'd eaten the meal. She told him that she'd served the children the leftovers, but she had removed the pastry and the mushrooms and fed them the meat and the potato and the beans. Mr. Mandy asked about a conversation with police, but Erin can't remember much except that she spoke to them at one point. I told police that the leftovers they were after, I had put them in the bin, but couldn't remember if it was only the kitchen bin or they'd made it all the way to the outside red bin, she said.
Oh, I bet
Miss
they
Erin,
made it out to the red bin.
they were taken from the outside red bin, yes.
Yes.
Erin says that she gave them the gate code to get into the property and told them that she could give them a key to get in or they could look for an open window. Because, that's how police get into people's houses. They just go through open windows. Breathe loud. Erin said she tried to convey to police that she wasn't sure about the origins of the mushrooms, but that the origins were Woolworths and the Asian grocer. She tells the court that it is what I thought at the time. Erin says she remembers wanting to go and get her children from school, which she is kind of absurd upon reflection. But at the time, I was their mother and they're my children and I wanted to be responsible for them, she says. At some stage over the morning, Erin says that she had a chat with one of the doctors and asked what was going on. Why do people think that it's death cap mushrooms and what is the situation of everyone? And she said that she couldn't tell me that because of privacy concerns about the fact that none of them were her patients anyway, Erin says. See, so she was at the hospital questioning.
Exactly.
The questioning turns to Miss Patterson's attitude towards her children being checked out after the lunch. Medical staff had previously told the court that she expressed reluctance to have her children admitted to the hospital. Erin says that the doctor explained to her that while she'd scraped off the mushrooms off, it was possible that the toxins had seeped in and it was better to be safe than sorry. She says she could understand the logic in that. It wasn't that I didn't want them to be treated, but more the drastic step of putting them in the hospital. I wanted to understand that that was really necessary, she says. But she says when she told them they should come to the hospital, it made sense to me. Bless you.
Thank you.
Have I passed it on to you two now?
You might have.
Erin was then taken by ambulance from Leongatha to the Monash Hospital in Melbourne's southeast and given the anti-nausea medication along the way. She says she was also given fentanyl, which made her feel a little bit loopy and took the pain away. Miss Patterson recalls wanting to be given a bed in the Monash Hospital and the doorway from where she was to triangle being opened and seeing Simon and the children. Triage, being opened and seeing Simon and the children. Then I was put in a cubicle somewhere waiting to be assessed. It's a little bit of a blur, she says. Mr. Mandy asks how Miss Patterson's symptoms were during Monday afternoon. I remember still having toilet trips at Leningatha, she says. She says the drugs help
Sorry, I'm
with
hearing
nausea.
Yeah.
The drugs helped with the nausea, but it came and went a little bit. When she woke up the next day, Erin says that she was feeling quite a lot better. At this point, the children were in the pediatric wing of the hospital.
Okay.
The morning Victorian Health Officer Sally Ann Atkinson began asking Erin about the food poisoning outbreak and the origins of the ingredients. Erin says that she told her the same thing she told the others, that majority of the ingredients were brought from Leningatha Woolworths and the dried mushrooms also used. She says she told Miss Atkinson the truth. The court is that shown some of the text messages between Miss Atkinson and Miss Patterson. In a lengthy message, Miss Atkinson asks Erin to describe the packaging of the dried mushrooms and anything she can remember about the store where she might have brought them. At the same time as the messages were being sent, Miss Patterson says that she was either with her children or in an appointment related to them. Erin says that she was feeling very anxious and it was very overwhelming. And you can hear her line of defense coming through.
Yes.
Later, Erin says in a conversation with her husband and the children, there was a discussion about the growing suspicion that the lunch Erin had prepared was the cause of the illness in the guests. I remember my daughter saying something like, well, we weren't at the lunch, why were we here too? And I explained that they had eaten the leftovers, but I had scraped the mushrooms off yours and my son's food, Erin says. She said the conversation then turned to her food dehydrator. I just remember the conversation about, yes, my daughter doesn't like mushrooms, but it's interesting that when I made muffins with dried mushrooms inside, as like a blind taste test, she preferred the muffin with the most amount of mushrooms in it. We thought that was quite interesting, she says. But later in the conversation with Simon, Erin says that he put forward a shocking allegation. He said to me, is that how you poisoned my parents, using the dehydrator? Erin said.
Ooh.
I said, of course not. Earlier in the trial, Simon Patterson denied asking this accusation. Can you blame him, though?
No, you can't. You can't blame him at all.
She tried 3-4 times with him and then his parents go down.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Erin tells the court the accusation from Simon triggered her to reflect on the lunch. It caused me to do a lot of thinking about a lot of things, she says. I was starting to think, what if they'd gone in the container with the Chinese mushrooms? Maybe that's what happened. She tells the court that it made her feel scared and worried because her child protection was now involved. Erin tells the court that knowing child protection workers were on their way to her home, she decided to throw out the dehydrator. She says she was worried that she would be blamed for making her lunch guests sick, so went to dispose of the dehydrator at the tip. Still not an excuse. Mr. Mandy's questioning returns to Erin's interactions with Health Officer Sally Ann Atkinson. Miss Atkinson's questions over texts were focused very squeakily on the ingredients in the meal. He notes and asks how he made Erin feel. Very anxious, yeah, very anxious, Erin says. Erin says she didn't tell Miss Atkinson that the supermarket ingredients were probably not responsible for illness because she was scared. She says that she still thought it was a possibility. The Asian grocer sourced the mushrooms were responsible for the poisoning, but knew it wasn't the only possibility. Because she knew she had been foraging them. Mr. Mandy then takes Erin to a conversation that she had on Friday after the lunch with child protection worker Katrina Cripps about her phone number. I told her that I was going to change my phone number, Erin says. I was becoming concerned about Simon's behaviour and his allegations, and I was concerned for my security, so I wanted him not to be able to contact me anymore. Earlier in the trial, Miss Cripps confirmed that during this visit, Erin had mentioned she was scared about security and privacy and was considering changing her phone number. A record of a factory reset of phone B is brought up by Mr. Mandy. Erin says that she's responsible for the last 3, but her son carried out the first factory reset on February 12, 2023. That had been my phone since the start of the year. In February, my son damaged his own phone and he needed a new one. So I brought a new A23 and gave him the one that I had been using, which was his phone. August 2nd, 2023, to get my son's information off it so I could set it up for me. He used it up until early May when he'd taken it to a school camp. He slipped and fell in some mud while he was bushwalking, and the phone had got pretty coated in the mud. The charging point and whatnot went a bit muddy. Erin says that she tried a few methods to clean it over time, but it stayed there drying out during this time. She says she figured out it was capable of being used on August 2nd, so I put it on charge and at some point a factory reset.
Oh, how does she believe her own words?
Or just blames everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
So August 5th, 2023, Erin says the factory reset occurred because I had put all of my apps on it, including my Google account, which included my Google Photos, and I knew that there were photos in there of mushrooms and the dehydrator. So I just panicked and didn't want them. The detective's searching the house to see them. So on August 6, 2023, Erin says that she carried out this factory reset because at this point, after the search of my house and the interview and the detectives had brought me home, I remembered thinking, I wonder if I could log into my Google account and see where all my devices are. So I did that, and I could see that my phone and my children's devices, and it was really stupid, but I thought, I wonder if they'd been silly enough to leave it connected to the internet. So I hit factory reset to see what happened, and it did.
Oh, my goodness. She just knows. She just makes me so mad.
During the trial, there had been several photos and devices linked to Erin Patterson, which had featured in the evidence. Phone A is a phone which prosecutors allege had its SIM card swapped during the police search of Miss Patterson's home on August 5th and was never recovered. Phone B is a phone that Miss Patterson handed to police on August 5th, which underwent 4 factory resets in 2023, including one done remotely while it was in a police locker at Spencer Street in Melbourne CBD. Erin says when police visited the home, phone A was on a windowsill near a charging station. Erin says the phone she gave police when she asked for the phone was phone B, which she'd been using at the time.
Is that Bubba?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hang on 2 secs.
Yep. At the end of that day, Erin recalls getting home and being a bit confused by the property seizure record she had been given by police, which showed 2 Samsung devices had been taken. She says she found a Nokia phone left in a basket, then later saw phone A on a windowsill. Okay, that's interesting. I think there was a third phone that they couldn't find. I wonder what she did with that. I was trying to piece together what was going on, she says. So I took the 783 SIM out of phone A and put it into the Nokia so that I could use the Nokia, she says. She says she switched the Nokia on after midnight. It baffled me why the Nokia, was still in my house, she says. I was trying to piece together what was going on, she says. Oh. It's sort of repeating.
Mum's with him. We'll just have to see if he settles.
Okay.
I'll keep it muted, but I'll just keep playing them for you to read while I'll see if he settles.
Okay, no worries. Questioning turns to the relationship between Erin and in-laws. After a short break, we return to Mr. Mandy's questioning of Erin Patterson. Mr. Mandy shows his client multiple pages of message exchanges between Erin and her in-laws. Many of the messages we have already heard, including Don Patterson suggesting ways to entertain the children and organizing to tutor his grandson in mathematics. As with much of her testimony relating to her children, Erin's voice wavers and she fights back some tears. She tells the court that she had a really good relationship with Don and Gail in 2022. Questioning turns to relationship between Erin and in-laws. I think I just read that one.
He's not settling. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop it here because we've still got quite a fair bit to go.
Okay.
I'll record the rest of this one tomorrow and I'll upload it and then I'll send it to you so you can upload it to your channel.
All right, not a problem.
Just for me.
Oh, poor Bubba.
Yeah, he's not stopping. I just want to go up and help my daughter with him while he's like this. So I'll upload the rest of this tomorrow. I'll chat with you in the morning about it anyway.
Okay.
And decide whether we're going to upload 7 like that as well. But because I really want to get to closing on this.
Oh, yeah. Sounds great.
But thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry I've got to run. But yeah, we'll fix this one tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. So sorry.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Bye.
Every true crime on the rise. Investigate the scene, uncover the lies. From Melbourne to Sydney, all the way to Perth. No case too tough, we'll dig into the dirt. We'll crack the code, find the truth, bring justice to the table. No excuse, Australian legends in the game, bringing light to darkness, no shame. Just got a super chat, let's celebrate. Raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. cases, the missing persons will leave no stone unturned. Every virgin detectives in our hearts will never give up, but justice and truth will always erupt. Ooh, thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much.